Nikki Reese, thank you. I really do sincerely appreciate you hanging out with us today.
I'm so glad you asked me on. I love the show, honestly. So it's nice to be here. I don't get to talk carving with people very often, or craft in general. So it's always great to have a chance to do that.
Yes, and I've just heard that you at one point had a podcast.
I did. No one needs to listen to it. It's just it's me and my friend Kat Jetson talking about the X Files and mostly just about Gillian Anderson, and we're really obnoxious and gay on it. And but if you want to listen to an obnoxious gay podcast about the X Files, it's called Scully Watch, and you can listen to it wherever podcasts are found or whatever. Well, we didn't finish it; like we got through, I think, to the fourth season, then we tapped out.
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, I've definitely been there with podcasts and tapping out, so
Yeah,
I
that
relate to
seems
that.
like that's kind of the what happens. Everyone gets sort of
Yeah,
burnt out. It's a big
right.
commitment. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Except for the people who probably should get burnt out, they never really do.
No, they
Um,
just keep going.
they-
Those are the people that like to hear themselves talk mostly.
yeah,
I
definitely
did
not me. Yeah.
no, I don't know if we could get through 11 seasons of X Files of a 30-year-old show.
That's amazing. Oh my goodness. Well, as we talked about starting out, just kind of meeting each other for the first couple minutes before we turned the actually started recording. Just curious what you were working on right now.
So right now, I am. This is going to be kind of convoluted.
Yeah.
In January, I went and taught at the John C. Campbell Folk School in North Carolina,
Yeah.
and I was just teaching like some figure carving, like sort of whimsy stuff. And it was my first time ever teaching. And it was my first time at a folk school, and it kind of changed my life a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, and I made some friends with like their weaving and textiles coordinator for their studio. And I was on Instagram one day and I saw this thing that someone was weaving with. I'm like, what is this? And so I sent it to my friend Allie. I'm like, Al, what is this? And they're like, oh yeah, it's a rigid heddle and you can weave bands with it. It's a textile tool. And I was like, that's wild. I'm like, how do you make those? And they're like, they're carved. I'm like, oh, I can do that.
Oh,
And so it's here, I'll show you. I'm not very good at making them pretty yet,
sure.
but they look like this.
Ah.
And so your yarn goes through the holes in the slats, right?
Mhm.
So when you lift it up, it opens up a shed, and when you lower it, it opens up a different shed, and you weave to and fro with like a shuttle, like this,
Mhm.
back and forth, and you end up with something that looks kind of like this.
Mm.
Um,
Wow.
and you can do like belts. I mean, anything you need a band for.
That is cool. Can
But
you
I'm
show us that
getting
pattern again? That
this
yeah,
the
the
band.
rope. That's cool.
Yeah, so that's made out of linen.
Wow.
And like some people are really good at it. I'm just learning enough of the weaving part so I can teach it. Because I'm teaching a rigid heddle carving class next year at the John C. Campbell Folk School with a weaver, Cassie Dixon, who's a master weaver, and she's going to be teaching the weaving portion. But I've gotten obsessed with textile tools.
Huh.
Um, there's so many things involved with like linen processing and weaving on a small scale that are handmade and like sort of like no one does it anymore, and I'm getting kind of
Right.
obsessed with like turning my carving skills into something practical that could make something that can be used to make something.
So
And so
cool.
that's what I'm still doing a little bit of figure carving because that's like I don't know, it's hard to give that up. But I'm really getting into textile tools and like the different things that you can make for that, especially linen processing. I don't know if you know anything about linen.
No, none,
Oh
nothing.
man. All right, hold on. Let
Let's
me.
talk.
I only know
Yeah.
a little bit, but let me get some hot tea.
Yeah. And also, we appreciate you. I appreciate you joining. Yeah, when the audience does as well. When you're sick. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
and the joy of
I'm a
this.
little go ahead.
Oh, the joy of this is I can't get it from you. Is what I was gonna say because
Yeah.
we're not in the same, not in the same room.
No. Where are
Yeah.
you located, by the way?
I'm just about 50 minutes north of Detroit. Just straight north.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get nice weather.
Yeah. Oh, it's the best. Only the nicest
Yeah.
weather. Where are you from?
Yeah. I'm in Austin, Texas.
Okay, so actually nice weather. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
You're
I
not
feel
sure.
like I feel like I would like two seasons at least would be nice, not just well
Right.
we do have two seasons. We just have like summer and lesser summer. But we have like 4 months of the year where it's like over 100 degrees and
Mm,
I don't like that. But anyways, yeah.
yeah.
So I'm a little sick. I sound like a teenage boy right now. But I do have enough voice to talk. So but yeah, linen comes from flax
Mm,
and it's really easy to grow. And it has like a short growing period. And if you're doing it by hand, you're growing it, you're harvesting it, and you're retting it or rotting it, which is basically like you lay it out in a field and let the dew rot it, or you rot it in like water. And that does something with, I don't know, like I said, I'm not really good, I don't know a lot yet, but it does something with the fibers and separating it. And depending on how you ret it, you'll get different colored flax.
hmm.
So then you have to take it to a flax break, which is this bespoke tool that isn't mass produced as far as I know. It's handmade. And you break, you separate the fibers, and then you take something called a scutching knife, which also is handmade from wood, and you get the rest of the fibers off. And then you have to take it to a heckle or a hackle, which is also handmade. It's like this spike thing that you sort of, it's like carding wool kind of. And
Okay.
you process it through that, and then you card it. And so there's like all these steps to processing linen with all these handmade tools. And I'm like, I really want to make all of the tools from like step one all the way to the end. So that's
Mm.
kind of like my pie in the sky sort of dream right now. But there's so
It's
much.
yeah, it's like an art form within the art form. Like so then there's like
Yeah.
two things to figure out there.
And you can like look at antique like sketching knives or heckles, and they all have like really decorative carving on them, like chip
Hmm.
carving or
Hmm.
like hearts or initials and dates. And you have this tradition, especially in Scandinavia, like pre-industrialization, where when men were courting women, they would carve them tools like this. So they'd carve them a spoon, or they'd carve them like a rigid heddle, and they'd make it super ornate, and like
Hmm.
put flowers and hearts on it. Or they would, make a scutching knife for their sweetie and like paint it. And like it's really interesting, the like relationship between wood carvers and weavers and how they go
Hmm.
hand in hand.
You said it's called a scutching knife?
A scutching knife, yeah.
Oh,
You should
sketching knife. What is it? Yeah.
sketching. Yeah, let me see if I can
Oh,
find a
like
picture real
sketching.
quick.
Yeah.
And
Michael B.
I'll
Jordan just
Oh
confronted.
goodness. Look at that. Little update for you guys, little gossip.
Michael B. Jordan.
Who's Michael B. Jordan?
I think he's an actor.
Is he?
Wasn't he? Yeah, he was in Black Panther, I think.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I'm not
It
up to
sounds
date
like a better. If it plays again, stop playing.
on the celebrity gossip.
Yeah, yeah. Today on Coffee and Carving Show,
Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan.
So
Is
this is gonna
he?
just be like
Who is he? I don't know.
So this is like an example of a sketching knife that has like really ornate like
Oh
painting on it.
wow! And it's made of what?
Birch usually.
Oh, so it's actually even the blade is
Yeah, so
wood.
it's a single piece. Yeah.
Huh.
And it's just wood to beat fibers off of linen, and I'm trying to
Hmm.
find one that maybe has some carving on it.
That's really cool. The painting on that.
Yeah, it's a really basic tool, and there's a lot of different ways you can make it. And there's like that one has a little bit of chip carving on it.
Yeah, so cool.
But so now I'm getting into chip carving. I
Oh
was in
really?
yeah, I was in North Carolina a couple weeks ago, just visiting friends. But I went to the folk school, and there's a chip carver. Have you ever heard of him? His name is Daniel Clay.
Mm.
I hope that's his
Daniel
name.
Clay.
You should
Daniel
look him
Clay
up on
chip carver.
Instagram.
Daniel Clay
He,
chip carver. Okay, yeah, I think you got it right.
yeah, he does beautiful work, and he has a
Oh
book out
wow,
that I can't
yeah.
remember the name of somewhere.
There it is.
There it is. I've never read a book about
It's
carving that's
fantastic.
been so well written.
Wow.
So I met him, and a friend got me a chip carving knife and some practice boards. So I'm getting obsessed with that. So that's what I'm working on, Alec.
That's a lot. There's a whole lot there. And
Yeah.
so this came from visiting John C. Campbell?
Yeah, that
You,
was it.
wow.
I met so many cool people there, and like there's so many different crafts and art. Like, I mean, you could do anything there: blacksmithing, weaving, wood carving, enameling, cooking, banjo making. Like,
Mm.
their catalog is like that thick. It's everything you can
Wow.
think of. If you ever want to teach there, I'll get you. I'll get you in touch with Gabe, and I'm sure he'd
Yeah.
love to have you.
No,
But it's
I've
a
heard
really
about
cool
it.
place. Yeah.
I've definitely heard about it. I
Um,
think maybe I've interacted with them at some point. I can't remember if that's true or not, but the name rings a bell, and I've heard Brian Melton, talk about that before.
yeah.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know if he's taught there or what, but
I don't know, a lot of people have like they have classes
yeah.
every week and weekend.
Okay,
Um, but it's just this
that's really
huge
cool.
campus with a bunch of
Well,
studios. Yeah.
wow. Oh, so it's like a campus.
Yeah, so they have like there's like a main, it's called Keith House, and it's like where the administrative office is, and they have a dance hall there, and there's a dining hall connected because they have like communal meals for all the students and staff, and then
Huh.
they have different studios dotted all over the land for the different obvious like practices, and they have
Mhm.
dormitories, so like old houses where you can stay while you're
Wow.
taking classes. Yeah, it's really immersive.
That's really cool. Yeah, I did not know that it was that involved, like
Yeah.
together. I just pictured kind of like a small building on a hill in the middle of the
Oh, it's
South somewhere.
no, it's huge and it's beautiful. Like the
How
Smoky
cool is
Mountains every
that?
morning. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm obsessed.
yeah. See, you're convincing me. Now I've got to do something about that. But
Hmm.
I love the Smoky Mountains. Something about that whole area. It's just it's kind of it's like enchanting or something. It's nice.
I mean, it is. I mean, the Appalachian Mountains are older than the rings of Jupiter.
Wow. Yeah. That's a fun fact.
Yes,
It's a
have you ever
very
been to
specific.
trivia?
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna
I
say
mean, it's the oldest
Jupiter for
mountain range on Earth.
300.
Yeah, it's like the oldest mountain range on Earth, and you can
Wow.
feel like you can feel it when you're there. It definitely feels
Yeah,
authentic.
that is so.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is very magical indeed. So were you teaching? You said they're figure carving. Then you weren't teaching, obviously, because you discovered this whole
yeah,
process of weaving or creating linen there.
yeah.
So what were you teaching?
Just figure carving. So like, I taught not a bunch, like a small group of people who had never carved before, and so I just
Uh-huh.
made like a curriculum of a very simple project, and it was
Uh-huh.
like a 5 day course,
Yeah.
like 6 hours a day.
Uh-huh.
So we start with something small, so they can learn how to use a knife and the different cuts and the safety, and then once they get past that small project, we oiled it up, and
Hmm.
then we moved to the next thing, a little bit
Hmm.
harder, and we ended the week with a gnome, so everyone got to like
Awesome.
create a gnome. Sorry, and like give
You're
it a
good.
backstory and things like that. And it was really fun.
That is so neat. I love your gnomes. I mean, I think everybody knows your gnomes. That's seen your work before. And if you haven't, you should absolutely get on her Instagram, check it out. But you have this really cool, this really neat mixture of, I don't know if it's a flat plane is the right term. I'm kind of new to whittling, so I don't want to throw the
Yeah.
wrong terms around. But mixing all of these techniques and impeccable painting, and you don't see. I have a new appreciation for it now that I've kind of dipped my toes into the water of
Hmm.
whittling. Um, creating these little short beginner videos for folks to try and grasp some of the wood carving concepts, because people don't really want to try things that are. I mean, granted, you gotta teach basics before you can jump into more advanced stuff. So just kind of doing that has been giving me an appreciation for the craft of whittling and wood carving in these figurative smaller figures.
Oh, I appreciate the kind words.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not. I don't really do flat plane. It's like I think I'm inspired by flat plane a lot,
yeah.
and
No, it certainly isn't flat plane proper, because a flat plane seems almost like they really simplify things.
flat plane is so hard. The
Yeah.
only class I've taken from someone else, a
Uh-huh.
guy named Charles Banks,
Hmm.
was a flat plane carving class, and like it broke my brain
Wow.
because the simplicity of it is very intentional and very
Hmm.
calculated and
Hmm.
really difficult to like um convey that much expression with so few cuts.
Hmm.
And I can't do it. I want to do it because I love it,
Yeah.
but I can't do
Same.
it. Yeah.
Same. I've never even tried, to put it that way. It scares me, the idea of it, but it's so funny because you do hide by. For instance, I have for years I was hiding behind using sandpaper, like copious amounts of sandpaper,
Okay.
and people, I'd make a video once every 3 years for YouTube, and I'd post it, and people would comment saying, everyone knows don't use sandpaper that early on in the project. It deposits, and I would be upset at people, and I would think these guys are losers, for making negative comments on some, 16-year-old's wood carving video.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they were ultimately kind of right that not really even just for the reasons that they thought they were right. Like, it wasn't that I was worried, I was ruining my tools, because the sandpaper, the granules from the sandpaper go into the wood. It was
Yeah.
more of an issue of the fact that I was not really learning how to make clean cuts, right? I was relying so heavily on the sandpaper
Yeah.
to just fix things. And I think that's something else that draws me to your work, is the cuts are very visible and intentional, in the same way that a flat plane carver uses their cuts efficiently. And so, how did you learn to carve cleanly like that, or do that? What is that?
Well, thank you. That's very nice. I work very hard on keeping my knives super sharp. I'm kind
Mm.
of I've got a problem with it. When I first started carving, I just kind of taught myself. I think I watched one Doug Linker video on like how to carve the
Yes.
5 minute wizard. And I was like,
Yeah.
cool, I've got it from here because
Hmm.
I'm very stubborn. And so it was a lot of just figuring stuff out on my own. When I started, I covered my carvings a lot with thick paint.
Mm.
And that's how I covered my mistakes. I wasn't using sandpaper, but I
Hmm.
was like full strength paint. Um, but for me, it was just like keeping my knives super, super sharp and also slowing down
Hmm.
and thinking about each cut intentionally. Like
Mm.
for me, it's where does this cut end? Where is the next cut going to beat that? And so on and so
Mm.
forth. And that's how I end up with clean lines. I still think I'm really messy. I have a Harley Refsol carving that I got in a trade.
Oh,
It's like
wow.
this big, and it is the cleanest carving I've ever seen in my life. Like, it just blows my mind. I can't believe it. But he's been doing it forever. Like,
Yeah.
of
He's a
course.
legend. He's an absolute legend, isn't he?
Yeah.
Isn't he like an honorary uh he's like some sort, like an honorary something. This is helpful. For Norway or something, is
Yeah,
it?
they gave him, I think, like the King of Norway gave him some sort of very special commendation for his flat plane carving, like
Right.
teaching in America, like the resurgence of it. So he got some very fancy thing for it.
Yeah.
He seems
Right.
like a cool dude.
I've always wanted to meet that guy, but that's cool. You have a piece of his artwork. I've always wanted yeah, I would kill for a Harley Russell. That's neat. What did you
Yeah.
trade for it?
A guy contacted me on Instagram and he's like, "Hey, I know you don't sell your carvings, but I'd like to have one. We do a trade."
Hmm.
And I was like, "Yeah, what do you got?" And he's like, "Well, I've got a Harley Davidson." I'm like, "Done. What do you want?" Anything you want.
Right.
So I think I ended up carving him like a gnome couple, like a man and a woman,
That's
and
awesome.
trading it for a Harley
That is so
carving.
cool.
Yeah, I was
What?
like, I'll take it. I feel like I'm getting the better end of this, but all right.
Yeah, if anyone on here has a Harley Russell carving that they're trying to off, and they want to trade something for it, definitely choose me for the. Even though Reese is a significantly better, you do a better job. Please choose me.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
you
close this
deserve it.
door. Yeah, yeah. For some reason, I
Okay.
don't know why. This thing has been just gaping open, and there's cold Michigan air pouring into the.
Oh, that sounds so nice. It's like 90 degrees here. It's like
Yeah.
90 degrees here today, so I'll take
Oh,
some of
don't.
that cold air.
Oh yeah. You don't want this. You don't want 40-degree
Oh,
weather.
yeah, I do. Yes, give it to me.
Oh.
I'm from Alaska, dude.
Are
Like,
you really?
yeah.
So tell me about when did you move from Alaska?
Oh, it was in the 90s.
Oh, so
My
you've
dad,
been there for a long time. Okay.
yeah, I've been here for too long. My dad, when we were in Alaska, he like did fishing, like commercial fishing, and he worked on the North
Wow.
Slope on the oil fields. And during the dot-com boom, his sister was like, "Hey, I'm going to send you a computer and I want you to figure out how to engineer computer boards, like motherboards. And if you can do that, we'll give you a job in Texas and you don't have to do like roughneck work anymore."
Wow.
My dad's a really smart guy, and so he figured it out. And we moved to Texas and he got a job like in the early to mid 90s designing computer board chips, which I guess was a big deal then. Like he's got one in the space station, like the International Space
Wow.
Station. So they would
Unreal.
map them out there and they would build them in house and send them out. So that's how we got to Texas, and then just kind of got stuck. I like ran away from home when I was a kid and ended up in Colorado for a minute, and then moved back to Texas.
Wow.
And I'm ready to get out again.
Yeah. Running away again.
Mm-hmm.
How old were you when you ran away?
I was like just 17.
Oh,
So I was
wow.
still in high school.
Yeah.
And I've been on my own like 100% since then, like no help from the parents.
Oh, wow.
I had a real rough real rough start. But
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. It worked out for you now.
It worked out. Yeah, I didn't get any drug addictions, like my credit score is really good. So like
Yeah. Usually
uh
that's the
I'm
first
doing
thing
all
to
right.
suffer. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you develop a drug addiction, I imagine your credit score can be
Yeah, I'm sure it
negatively
tanks.
impacted.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Probably shouldn't laugh about that, honestly.
No.
Um,
It's dark
sincerely,
humor. Tell me about your
yeah,
childhood trauma.
yeah, for real. Yeah, drug abuse is not a is but you got to cope. You got to cope with life somehow, right? And laughter is a
Yeah,
good way.
yeah.
It's actually it's like church laughter. If someone tells you something funny when you're like a kid and you're like in church, it's 10 times funnier automatically, right? So
Yeah.
uh,
I've got a little bit of a dark sense of humor too, so I have to I have to keep it in
re-
check sometimes.
reel it in, yeah, reel it
Mhm.
in, yeah. This is a family show. We're not laughing about drug addiction on this show.
Whoops, you just
Um,
cut that out.
yeah, it's a short podcast, but no. So you run away from home. You're 17,
Mhm.
and you get back home. You're on your own.
Mhm.
When maybe how long from that point to wood carving?
Way too long,
Really?
honestly. Yeah, so I've always had a thing for like pocket knives and like a little bit on the bushcrafty side.
Hmm.
But at one point I was just like hoarding pocket knives. Like there was no practical application for it. And I always wanted to carve, but I kind of always got in my way with it, my own way. Like I can't do it for this reason or this reason. And I think it was probably around, I want to say like 2017 that I started like grabbing wood and grabbing a knife and kind of seeing what I could do with it. And I think at first I was like, I'm gonna take bog oak and a Sloyd knife
Mm.
and I'm gonna carve acorns. And I did, and it was horrible because it's bog oak. It's like carving glass.
Right.
And then like I started finding wood outside, and I'd carve little faces. And then I don't even remember buying my first like proper figure carving knife or wood. But once
Mm.
I like had one successful project, like that's it. I've been obsessed since, and I haven't been able to stop.
Wow.
And I've had so many hobbies, like I like to know how things work, so I'll do something long enough to figure out how it works, and then be like, okay, I don't care anymore. But wood carving is the only thing that like I am really obsessed with.
Wow. And so, did you immediately were you drawn to the figurative stuff like right away?
Yeah, I thought it was fun and like sort of the possibility for whimsy and
Yeah.
like nothing too serious. I really liked that. Like a lot of people around our age, like I have a very anxious brain,
Yeah.
and like wood carving makes it shut up,
Hmm.
and it's great. And I like the figure carving because I like like making people smile, which sounds like
Mm,
sort of conceited, right? Like,
mm.
but people
Not at
seem to
all.
react really well to like the gnomes and like the little mushroom guys and the
Mm.
weird stuff that I carve.
Oh, those
Um,
mushroom guys are the coolest, the absolute coolest thing. They're just so good.
oh, I'm so
Uh,
glad you like them.
I love those. Yeah, no, I get it. I think Doug would, meeting Doug from the internet or whatever classes, and seeing the joy on his face when he would make something that was small and cute, and then just laughing at it, because it was just, he's intentionally funny looking, right? Like
Yeah,
it'd be like a carrot that's just got a giant smile, and he's trying to pull
yeah.
himself out of the ground. I mean, this is just like really fun stuff. I got a little jealous of that after a while because I'm over here drearily carving the same, like, kind of stoic man or something. Like,
Yeah.
all right, I want a piece of that. And there is like it's both kind of like a change to show someone that, like my wife, for instance, was more excited about my little gnome, it seemed, in the moment than, or not my gnome, but my little elf. One of my first kind of like whittles, coming back from whittling when I was a teenager to doing that like a year ago. And that was a fun experience, right? Because you spent like an hour instead of like 4 hours, or 6 hours
Yeah.
on something, and it gave that person even more joy. So I could see
People
that.
love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
people want silly. Like we live in a super like, I don't know, serious sort of depressing world where a
Yeah.
lot of bad things are happening, and especially
Mm,
as adults, like we sort of lose that bit of magic, I think.
mm, mm,
And so that's what I like about it. Like it's just it's silly, you don't have to take it seriously,
mm.
and people, I think they want a break from the bad.
Yeah,
So
it's
that's
true. It's
and that's why I just sort of like I hide most of everything that I carve,
Do you
like for
really?
people to find. Oh yeah, like I've started getting better about having like um examples of work pieces that I keep if I'm going to teach a class or something.
Mm.
But like everything else, I just go hide like wherever I am. If I go to a coffee shop, if I go hiking, um if I travel, I'll usually take a bunch of stuff with me. Like when I taught at the folk school, I took a bunch of domes and hid them on my last day there.
No
Um
way.
yeah, and people love it. Sometimes there's been a couple occasions where I've hid something and just sort of sat down with a coffee and like watch people find it, and that's so
That's
much
awesome.
fun. It sounds kind of creepy, but like I've only done it a couple times. People are so happy and so stoked. Because yeah, I would be pretty excited if I was just like walking on a trail and there was like this little cute thing hidden. Like that'd be
Oh
awesome.
my gosh. It
And
really
so
would. It's like the stuff. It's like the stuff of fairy tales, really.
yeah, exactly. And like I don't know, I know there's not a lot I can do about the way things are, but maybe I can make someone smile every once in a while, and like
Mm.
I don't know. So that's kind of my
I
jam.
love that. That's fantastic, Nikki. That's so good. Um, I think it's funny. Today I was listening to an artist talk about how she established her kind of niche. She's talking about like business. She makes figures from polymer clay, and she was saying that when she started out, one of the things that she did right was she had a certain level of lightness about what she was doing, and like comedy. She would like make memes with her little like figures
Yeah.
and like put them in Costco, like superimpose her little figure in Costco and post that. And she said it like unknowingly like gave her an identity. And it was also like fun for her to see that when people would just like log into their Instagram from a difficult day of dealing with jerks on the road or whatever, that
Yeah.
traffic and stuff, that they would just like see her stuff and like, oh my gosh, that's so cute and so hilarious,
Yeah.
that that's a really cool like mode to put people in. So I admire. I'm learning things,
Oh,
guys. Yeah,
well,
I'm taking
thanks. Yeah.
notes. I don't. I think that's, because like if art does, if you want to get like in the philosophy part of it, like if art does have a purpose, or craft does have a purpose, what better purpose than that? You know.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of how I make myself, because I think I have a problem too, and I'm like I think about where things will be in 100 years, and I'm like
Mhm.
ultimately this is all just landfill fodder.
Yeah.
But like, can it make someone happy in the meantime? You
Yeah.
know? Well, what else am I doing it for?
Hmm.
I mean, other than to make my brain shut up, but like to feel,
Yeah.
it's a way to feel connected with people because I think we all feel super disconnected from one another too. I mean, like social
Hmm.
media has definitely made us more connected, but also further apart, and like missing that sort of tangible, tactile human
Hmm.
connection. I think is also what I'm trying to find a little bit when I do that, even though it's
Yeah.
mostly anonymous, but like it's tangible for
Right.
someone else.
True. It is. And I mean, yeah, if anyone's going to remember, I can't remember who said this, but it's like people remember how you make them feel. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, that, if you are going to be remembered, what better way to be remembered than Nikki made me laugh. When I saw her stuff, I loved her. It just gave me so much joy to see these characters that she made,
Yeah.
like where it lightened my day, seeing her stuff. Where it's just so cute, this sort of attitude of like just it's not like because like here's the optimum outcome for somebody in like the world of stoic statues and paintings is someone going up to it and being like, oh my, that must be very difficult. It's like, and they walk away. It's like,
Yeah.
why yes it was. It's like
Oh,
lasting
buddy.
emotional impact zero.
I
But
mean, that's the thing about art and craft in general, though, isn't it? Like, no one's
yeah.
ever going to appreciate, like, what actually went into it. It's like the artist and craftsperson sort of
Mm,
like dilemma.
right.
Um, what are you gonna do? I could never do
Yeah.
what you do. Like, I'm
Thanks.
so impressed and like just in awe of what you do. Like,
Thank you.
it makes my brain hurt.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I think there's something about, both things and combining them. I think that is cool too. Like being able to take the art side and mix it into the craft side and have them commingle. It's like that's what I think is so neat about when people are such as yourself are skilled at painting. They're like because you're mixing in multiple kind of mediums and then it becomes like more than just a wood carving. It's cool.
That's been a journey, the whole painting thing. Again, I'm stubborn and I'm like, I'm going to teach myself how to do this. And I hated the painting for a long time. Like, it was my least favorite because I'm kind of an impatient person. And if
Hmm.
I'm excited about a project, like, I need to get it painted so I can get it
Yeah,
done.
that's how I feel.
But I actually really enjoy the painting now, and I'll paint almost as long as I carve. I
Hmm.
mean, like, depending.
Yeah. Wow.
But I
Yeah, I
can't
don't
paint
know.
on paper. I
Really?
can only yeah, I can only paint on wood. Like, I'm not a painter. Like, this is a purpose built skill. I taught myself how to do it on wood, and I can't really. It doesn't translate onto paper for me at all.
Right.
Like, wood
Yeah.
is my medium, and I know how the paint like interacts with it. And I just started messing around with milk paint
Hmm.
because I'm sort of thinking, like, again, like, where is this going to be 100 years? If if someone drops this on the ground, what's the impact of it? If a little kid puts it in their mouth, what's the impact of it? And so I'm like, I'm going to get into milk paint, and that's just
Hmm.
it's breaking my brain a little bit. There's a big learning curve on it.
So is that sorry, ignorance here. I remember that being like a thing that people were doing a lot a few years ago to furniture, and I haven't heard about it since.
Mm.
Is it a naturally derived
Yeah,
pigment or?
yeah. So milk paint's been around for centuries, and
Hmm.
it is a naturally derived pigment. It comes in like a powder,
Huh.
and it's pigments and lime and like sometimes I guess milk protein, and you
Huh.
basically you mix water with it, and that'll get you your thickness and consistency. And it's not exactly like it doesn't wear well. Like if it's heavily used or touched, it'll eventually come off. But
Right.
it's got a pretty no VOCs and a pretty like low environmental impact. And I think that's probably why people were getting on board with it with like
Ah.
furniture. You'll see it on spoons a lot too because it's
Okay.
something that you're putting in your face. Like it's not bad.
Really?
Um,
So it's not going to hurt
yeah.
you if you eat it.
Mm-mm.
Okay. That is very cool. That's something I could get along with there.
Yeah, and I don't have anything that I've painted. I think I have a heddle that I was a small heddle that I sort of did a wash with it.
That's cool.
But it can go on really thick too.
Huh.
I don't know. I'm still learning. I'm like early days. Like I've only had it for a few days, but
Yeah.
I am interested in like producing carvings that, like I said, if a little kid puts it in their mouth, like they're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
So just like looking at different oils and waxes and things like that.
Right. Instead of like whatever God knows what's in the plastics or acrylic paint.
Yeah, like like
Uh,
I don't want to go too hippie on it, but just like I want to leave this place better than I found it. I don't want to
yeah,
add any more crap than I already do by existing, you know?
for real. Gosh, that is such a basic. That is such a basic like Boy Scout level thing that people don't pay much attention to, and that it's easy to forget about. So, I don't think that's. I don't think that's. I think it's worth mentioning. So, leave the campground better than you left it. The
Yeah,
campground of
that's
life.
what else can you do with life other than enjoy it and try to leave the place a little bit better than you found it? Like
Right. That's great.
everything else is just details.
That's true. Yeah. This. Yeah, that's a really good point. I want to think more on this. This lightness and in creating pieces that are not so heavy. Like I think there's something in that for me too in my stuff. Like put like okay, one way that I love that Patrick Burke, one of my favorite carvers. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but
I don't know if I know him, like, but I'm bad of names too. So
yeah. Yeah, well, yeah. So when I first discovered Patrick Burke, it was through Fred Cogilo, and Fred Cogilo, in like in the relief carving community, and actually the wood carving community at large, he's kind of like revered as one of the greats. And so I reached out to him when I was actually trying to start a business that failed, but he suggested I look into talking to Patrick Burke about some stuff, and I got a hold of him and saw his Instagram, and we talked for a while. I was just I'm amazed at the fact that the guy, I think he had like 4,000 followers on Instagram, and he was of a caliber that I don't think I had seen before, like Fred Cogilo level,
yeah.
carving like architectural stuff, like these beautiful, like perfectly symmetrical, like leaves, acanthus, and all this sort of like old world stuff that you might see at some um, mansion that had been turned into a museum, right?
Hmm.
And I was just like, where do you get the patience to sit in one spot for that long? I could barely
Yeah.
sit there for one small thing, and we talked for a while, and I just remember following him and seeing that he would the way that he would keep himself entertained or like interested and then like bring joy to the viewer is he would do a very serious, very very intense, properly done carved relief scene with a frame that's all carved out of one piece of wood,
Wow.
and then coming over the frame, he'd just have like some caterpillars just like crawling over it that's just carved out of the same piece, and ladybugs, and just like random crap, just random stuff like a worm, just
Hmm.
like and when I saw that it was like yes, yes, he doesn't take himself too seriously, like there's
Yeah.
something about that. It's like, and so I actually tried that with a carving I did for a friend. She was a poet, this Suzanne Honda, my good friend Keith's wife. Haven't seen Keith in a minute, but if you're listening, Keith, which he isn't, hi. But she wrote this poem, and she wanted me to make a carving based on the poem.
Oh wow.
And she sent it to me. It was this very beautifully written, like earthy. I think you'd really like the poem. It reminds me of your work in some ways. It was like
Hmm.
very inspired of the earth, and it was called. I think it's called Flower Girl. But she kind of wrote this poem. It's like almost like a short story type poem, and then I remember like carving these flowers and then putting a just a little. I think I just put a bumblebee in the flower, and that just like by far of any carving I had done up to that point just gave me the most joy. Just knowing that 99% of people like wouldn't notice it,
Yeah.
but I
It's
knew it was there.
it's the little details, and like when the
Yeah.
people do notice it, the kind of people that notice those things
Yes.
are like you're like
It's the
you're
anchor tattoo on the arm of your fisherman. Not your is it the fisherman? Not
yeah,
the
yep,
yeah.
yep, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
fisherman, yeah.
Yeah. It's like that's the best part. It's like
Oh,
when you look really close.
and that's what I like about hiding carvings too, because like everyone's hustle bustle, and I'm like the kind of person I want to find it is the kind of person that's just gonna notice the world
Hmm.
around them. I think, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Like, but yeah, find more whimsy in your carving. It's just
Mm.
it's gonna make you happier, and it makes everyone else happier.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great advice. I love that. That's a good takeaway, I think, for other people too, who are carving.
Yeah, just like make it fun
Yeah.
in just little ways. I don't know. Obviously, not everyone's gonna do that. Like, that's not everyone's jam, but I don't
Right.
know.
Right.
Um,
Some people, all they want is like wow, that looks hard. That's it. Like, that's
hey,
really hard.
everyone does it for a different reason, I guess, and some people
All right.
need that validation.
Yeah.
I mean, I need validation, right? I'm on
Yeah.
Instagram. Like, let's be real.
Yeah. We all do.
Like me.
Like,
Tell
it's
me I'm pretty.
Reese. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Right.
um, but yeah, I guess everyone does it for a different reason, different
Right. Nope.
personality types.
Yeah. Right. Do you know anything about the Enneagram personality types? You heard about that?
Is that like with the letters and stuff?
Are there letters? I think it's like numbers. So it's like one through,
Oh
I
no,
think
I
it's
don't know about
9.
this one. Is this like
Oh, yeah.
zodiacs for intellectuals?
That is by far the best description I heard of it. And from now on, I'm referring to it as Zodiacs for Professionals because it's essentially that people are so obsessed, uh, or intellectuals, you said, but yeah, professionals, whatever.
Both
Professionals, very
work. Yeah,
different.
whatever.
Whatever, it's fine. It's this, the people that get into it, they really, really get into it. And apparently it's this way of like understanding your propensities and then what you go to in unhealth. So like you might be, so for me, I'm a number 4, which is, I don't know if that's as good as a number 9 or what, but they said I'm a 4. And then my apparently that means I like to be creative and original, so I'll do things to be original.
Oh yeah,
And
I
yeah, so
suffer from that.
that kind of fits me probably, and I hate that about myself. But
Well, I mean, I think anytime we're pointed out our own egos, we hate it.
right.
But like, who cares? Whatever. I mean, I'm the same way. I don't carve anyone else's patterns because I want to be original.
Mhm.
You know, it
But
is
that's
just
great.
it's very like it is very ego based for sure.
Yeah.
But whatever, you just embrace it.
Right. Yeah, I guess it's not. I mean, I was trying to when I started, I was just trying to be the best I could at copying this guy, Ron Adamson.
hmm
Um, and then eventually, yeah, it just became something else. You know, I stopped trying to copy him and started doing my own thing.
Oh, for sure. And I think like all of art is done that way, or all of craft, right? We can't do it in complete isolation. We have to be inspired, and you can draw your inspiration from literature or other carvers. Like, I'm sure I can point out aspects on my carvings that I probably picked up looking at other people's carvings. Like
Yeah.
it's all borrowed and exchanged. There is no real original
Right.
ideas.
Right.
Like
Absolutely.
part of the reason I started carving, one of the many reasons, is like I grew up reading a stupid book about gnomes that everyone had.
Really?
Yeah, it's like The Secret Life of Gnomes or something. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I had that book when I was like a little kid, and I thought gnomes were real, and that was magic to me. Like
Yeah.
that sort of mythology lived in my head, and I grew up and I'm like, man, I want to carve gnomes,
Hmm.
and so like I stole a bunch of crap from there, like it's just like this free flow exchange of inspiration that art and craft is, and you can't do it in isolation. So whatever, man.
Yeah. No, my dad always had this opinion. He's like, if you have a hobby as a kid, you will almost always, I think you'll always at some point in your life return to that hobby. Um, hopefully it's a good hobby. For instance, for me, coin collecting, right? That was
Yeah.
one when my dad would say that when I was a young adult, I would say, no, Dad, I'm not going to get back. I'll get back to a lot of them, but coin collecting. And, went to the coin shop 2 weeks ago, to bought a bag full of, whatever circulated junk silver coins just for the giggles. And
Yeah.
also as a little bit of a safe hedge because the economy could potentially collapse. But
Yeah, I mean,
anyway, yeah. Anyway,
it's fine.
It's fine, right? The good news is art does okay in in a downturn market. Apparently, it seems to do okay. It didn't affect me. COVID didn't affect the sales of my carvings for some reason, like
Oh
commission
wow.
orders. Yeah, I was shocked.
I mean, everyone had that $600 a week extra
Yeah, yeah.
government assistance, so I bet that helped.
Well, yeah, maybe
It's a
that was
joke.
it.
It's a bad joke.
No, honestly, that probably was part of it. I mean, oh, okay. I won't turn your joke into a reality,
I mean, it
but
could be. The line between dark humor and reality is very thin.
it is. So you are an author. You have a fantastic book or multiple books. How
No,
many
no,
books
no.
do you have?
No. I just have one book. I just have one
Okay,
book.
you do have one book.
I
I
have
thought
one
you had
book.
two.
No, no, no. I have a bunch of articles
That's right.
in Wood Carving Illustrated.
Hmm.
Um, they reached out to me during COVID, I think, to write that. They're like, "Hey, we like your gnomes. Do you want to write a book about gnomes around the world?" And I was like, "Ooh, sure." I was not prepared as a writer or like a carver to make that book when I made it. I was still very much in the sort of beginnings of learning how to carve.
Hmm.
And I can't look at that book now.
Really?
It hurts me deeply inside. But I also can recognize that that book made me a better carver
Hmm.
because of what I had to do to get through it and like the amount I had to carve and so on and so forth.
Hmm.
I would like to write another book again, but I think I might self publish,
Yeah.
but like later on down the road.
Yeah.
Now that I'm doing a million other different kinds of things.
Right.
But yeah, I have a book.
That's a
Gnomes around the
fantastic.
world.
I mean, that's a crazy story that you didn't really like necessarily feel like you fully figured out, and then someone comes up to you and says, "It's good." It's not only did you figure it out, but you should write a book about it. We'd publish it.
Yeah, it I did not feel ready, and like I had a bad bout with imposter syndrome while I was doing it, and
Mm.
like I look at those carvings now and those patterns and I'm like, ooh, that's where I was. It's like anytime you look at something you made in the past, especially
Yeah.
when you're starting a new like craft or hobby, you exponentially get better pretty quickly in the
Yeah.
beginning. Um and so that very much feels like my beginnings and it's hard to look at. But like
Yeah.
it brings other people joy and like people message me like, "Hey, I love this and this is great." And I'm like, "Oh man, that's awesome. I'm not going to, I shouldn't crap on it because
Right.
it's not about me anymore."
Yeah.
Like
That's a great way of putting it. Yeah.
it was a stepping stone and it brought me like everything that's happened. It's just like brought me to where I am now.
Mm. Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm happy. But yeah, I have a
I get
book.
it. Yeah. No, my mom would say that growing up about you should go to people's houses and see the floral arrangements that she had given them for the holidays, and they'd still have them up at Christmas time. And
Mm.
she would offer to take them down and replace them. And people, oh, we love this. We love to have this on the wall. It's
Yeah,
like, please.
you can't crap on it. What brings other people joy. I have this problem because all of my close friends have all of my earliest carvings,
Yeah.
like my just little brick little dudes that like you
Yeah.
can still see the square. And I'm like, oh, I will carve you something new. And they're like, shut up, I love this. Like, how dare you? And I'm like, oh God, okay.
It's
Yeah,
an
it's not.
early Nikki Reese.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reality of it is.
It's not about me, if it makes someone happy then it makes them
Right.
happy and you shouldn't you know be a jerk about it, I guess, is what I've learned.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I guess it's a good lesson. And once you make something, just like ship it and let it go. Like
Yeah,
don't. I
that's
struggle.
it.
I went to a friend's house who I stayed with a couple 3 or 4 years prior, and she had one of my carvings hanging on her wall, and I pulled it off of the. She said, "Oh, I still have your carving here," and I saw it, and can I see it? And she said, "Yeah," and I pulled it off of the wall, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, "I sold you this." She was like, "Yeah." I was like, oh, well, you had done the auction, you had done it live, and this was your thing. I'm like, please let me carve on this. And she was like, well, you can. So I spent the next probably 3 or 4 hours just trying to reconcile the
Yeah,
face, just for my own selfish. Like, I'm embarrassed that this is in your house. This is so bad.
you gotta let it go because they don't think it's bad, and
Right.
that's the thing. Like they love it. It brings them joy. It has nothing to do with you anymore. Once you make
Right.
it, you're done. Release it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I struggle with that all the time, but
Yeah.
It almost becomes insulting to other people.
Yeah.
So
It's so funny. It is like it's a. I mean, this is now we're just chatting, but you know, and there's not necessarily any value in what I'm about to say. But my friends came to an event and they found my mom had stored away all these carvings that I had made as like a little kid, a 12-year-old kid when I first
oh
started, and they were the friends were at this party we held at the barn, and they found this box somehow. I don't know how, and we're pulling things out and just like, can I buy this from you? It's like, please stop. Please put that back. I will make you something, you know? It's just
yeah.
like, oh, it's just, to see these carvings was like, it was the memories. And at the same time, it was flattering that they like wanted a piece of the early, like they like the story, you know, my friends, you know, they're supposed to be like that, but
Yeah.
it was cool. And so, I'm pretty sure now those friends have, yeah, I visit their houses, so I'm 100% sure that they're on their walls. These awful like 12-year-old Alec
Yes.
attempts at carving. I get to see them once every few weeks.
Oh, that's great for you. Love that for you.
Yeah, thanks.
Here's the
Thanks a
thing
lot.
though about carving is that like people who don't do it, it's magic to them. And
Yeah.
that's with any craft, right? Like I look
Mhm.
at
Yeah.
weaving stuff. Like weaving is blowing my mind right now. I'm not going to get too much
Hmm.
into it other than like these little bands, but if you look at
Yeah.
overshot coverlets
Hmm.
and the way they're made, like it's insane. It's magic, and that's someone else craft. It's not my craft, and even if it's crappy, I'll never know because it's someone else's magic. So I think it's the same way with carving.
Overshot color coverlets.
Coverlet, yeah. It's like it's an Appalachian tradition that they were
Oh
doing
wow.
in like the 1800s and like making these really insane patterns
Wow.
um that look sort of out of time with when they were popular. But it's my understanding what little bit I know about weaving,
Wow.
they're
They're like
super
brain
hard to
puzzles.
make. Yeah.
It's like a brain. It's like you're looking at one of those mind benders.
Yeah.
That's a
Isn't that
fabric
wild?
pattern.
And that's like made from someone hand tying thousands of individual threads
Oh my god.
and then like mapping a pattern out. And like my brain can't do this stuff, right? Like I don't my brain doesn't work
No
like that. And then
way.
like weaving it thread by thread back and forth and still like I don't it's magic to me.
That's crazy.
But I think that's what craft is to people who don't do that craft. It's just magic.
Right. Here's another. Will it focus?
Oh,
There.
there you go.
And if you zoom in, it's like, what?
Yeah,
Patterns within
like
patterns.
how do you even do that? Like I don't even know. Like I know the like sort of very basis of it, but it's just and like I watch people who blacksmith, you know, and who make like ornate things out of iron and a hammer, and I like that's magic to me. I took one blacksmithing class and made like some ugly hooks, and like, but it's still magic, and I think that's what other people's craft is. So let your
True.
friends have your little 12-year-old carvings.
There you go. That's a great message. Nikki, it's been super fun. I appreciate you being willing to hang out with me for the hour and talk about your carvings and your awesome attitude about it. It's just cool to get to know you. It's sweet to see you on Instagram for all these for quite a few months now and
Yeah.
to meet you. That's cool.
Thanks so much for having me on and letting me talk your ear off, you know?
No,
It's
keep doing it. We'll have to do it again. And
yeah.
I love seeing it.
Yeah, maybe when I have my actual voice back. I'm not going through puberty.
Yeah,
We
I
can
think
back and
I'm.
chat again.
That's okay. I think I'm still somebody. I think I'm still going through puberty and 28. So I feel like I should be done with that by now. But
I'm 38, so you know.
yeah, yeah. One day,
hmm
one day,
One
one
day.
day. Amazing. Thanks again.
Yeah, have a
Is there
good one.
anything you want to shout out before, like your Instagram handle or
Oh yeah,
you have?
if you want to come like say hi, I'm always happy to talk to people about carving. I'm only on Instagram right now. And you can find me at Yeti Rage. So YETI RAGE.
Beautiful.
Like Yeti Rage. Yeah, come say hi. And whenever I teach classes, I will post up on there, so you will be in the know.
Beautiful. All right. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.